Then the order was given for all hands to help refurbish Heorot immediately. Men and women thronging the wine hall, getting it ready. Gold thread shone in the wall hangings, woven scenes that attracted and held the eye's attention. But iron braces as the inside of it had been, that bright room lay in ruins now. The very doors had been dragged from their hinges. Only the roof remained unscathed by the time the guilt-fouled fiend turned tail in despair of his life. But death is not easily escaped from by anyone. All of us with souls, earth-dwellers, and children of men, must make our way to a destination already ordained, where the body, after the banqueting, sleeps on its deathbed. Then the due time arrived for Halfdane's son to proceed to the hall. The king himself would sit down to feast. No group ever gathered in greater numbers or better order around their ring-giver. The benches filled with famous men, who fell to with relish. Round upon round of mead was passed. Those powerful kinsmen, Hrothgar and Hrothulf, were in high spirits in the raftered hall. Inside Heorot there was nothing but friendship. The shielding nation was not yet familiar with feud and betrayal. Then Halfdane's son presented Beowulf with a gold standard as a victory gift, an embroidered banner, also breast mail and a helmet, and a sword carried high. That was both precious object and token of honor. So Beowulf drank his drink, at ease. It was hardly a shame to be showered with such gifts in front of the hall troops. There haven't been many moments, I'm sure, when men exchanged 4 such treasures at so friendly a sitting. An embossed ridge, a band lapped with wire arched over the helmet, head protection, to keep the keen ground cutting edge from damaging it when danger threatened, and a man was battling behind his shield. Next the king ordered 8 horses with gold bridles to be brought through the yard into the hall. The harness of one included a saddle of sumptuous design, the battle-seat where the son of Halfdane rode when he wished to join the sword-play, wherever the killing and carnage were the worst. He would be to the fore, fighting hard. Then the Danish prince, descendant of Ing, handed over both the arms and the horses, urging Beowulf to use them well, and so their leader, the lord and guard of Cofferin's strong-room, with customary grace bestowed upon Beowulf both sets of gifts. A fair witness can see how well each one behaved. The chieftain went on to reward the others, each man on the bench who had sailed with Beowulf, and risked the voyage, receiving a bounty, some treasured possessions, in compensation. A price in gold was settled for the Geat Grendel had cruelly killed earlier, as he would have killed more, had not mindful God and one man's daring prevented that doom. Past and present, God's will prevails. Hence, understanding is always best, and a prudent mind. Whoever remains for long here in this earthly life will endure and enjoy more than enough. They sang then, and played to please the hero, words and music for the warrior prince, harp tunes and tales of adventure. There were high times on the hall benches, and the king's poet performed his part with the saga of Finn and his sons, unfolding the tale of the fierce attack in Friesland, where Hanaf, king of the Danes, met death. Hildebur had little cause to credit the Jutes, son and brother. She lost them both on the battlefield, she bereft, and blameless they, foredoomed, cut down, and spear-gored she, the woman in shock, waylaid by grief. Hawk's daughter, how could she not lament her fate when morning came, and the light broke on her murdered dears, and so farewell to light on earth. War carried away Finn's troop of thanes, all but a few. How then could Finn hold the line, or fight on to the end with Hengist? How save the rump of his force from that enemy chief? So a truce was offered, as follows. First, separate quarters to be cleared for the Danes, hall and throne to be shared with the Frisians. Then, second, every day, at the doled out of gifts, Finn, son of Fockwald, should honor the Danes, bestow with an even hand to Hengist and Hengist's men the wrought gold rings, bounty to match the measure he gave his own Frisians, to keep morale and the beer hall high. Both sides then sealed their agreement with oaths to Hengist. Finn swore openly, solemnly, that the battle survivors would be guaranteed honor and status, no infringement by word or deed, no provocation would be permitted. Their own ring-giver, after all, was dead and gone. They were leaderless, enforced allegiance to his murderer. So if any Frisian stirred up bad blood with insinuations or taunts about this, the blade of the sword would arbitrate it. A funeral pyre was then prepared, effulgent gold brought out from the hoard. The pride and the prince of the shieldings lay, awaiting the flame everywhere. There were blood-plastered coats of mail. The pyre was heaped with boar-shaped helmets, forged in gold with the gashed corpses of well-born Danes. Many had fallen. Then Hildebert ordered her own son's body be burnt with Heaney's, the flesh on his bones to sputter and blaze. Beside his uncles the woman wailed, and sang keens. The warrior went up. Caucus flame swirled and fumed. They stood round the burial mound and howled, as heads melted, crusted gashes splattered and ran, bloody matter. The glutton element flamed and consumed the dead of both sides. Their great days were gone, warriors scattered to homes and forts all over Friesland. Few were now feeling loss of friends. Hengist stayed, lived out that whole resented blood-sullen winters with Finn, homesick and helpless. No ring-world prow could up then, and away on the sea, wind and water raged with storms, wave and shingle were shackled in ice, until another year appeared in the yard, as it does to this day, the seasons constant, the wonder of light, coming over us. Then winter was gone. The earth's lap grew lovely. Longing woke in the cooped-up exile for a voyage home, but more for vengeance, some way of bringing things to a head. His sword-arm hankered to greet the Jutes, so he did not balk. Once Hun Lefing, placed on his lap, dazzled the duel, the best sword of all, whose edge Jutes knew only too well. Thus blood was spilt, the gallant Finn slain in his home. After Guthlaf and Oslaf, back from their voyage, made old accustomed the brutish ambush, the fate they had suffered, all blamed on Finn. The wildness in them had to brim over. The hall ran red with blood of enemies. Finn was cut down, the queen brought away, and everything the shielding could find. Inside Finn's walls, the Frisian kings, gold collars and gemstones, swept off the ship. Over sea lanes then, back to the Daneland, the warrior troop bore that lady home. The poem was over, the poet had performed. A pleasant murmur started on the benches. Stewards did the rounds with wine in splendid jugs, and Wealhtheow came to sit in her gold crown between two good men, uncle and nephew, each one of whom still trusted the other, and the forthright Unferth, admired by all for his mind and courage, although under a cloud for killing his brothers, reclined near the king.